Kimberly Williams-Paisley reveals she could not speak for 2 years. Actress, wife, and mother Kimberly Williams-Paisley lost her voice for 2 years. According to Jim, Star revealed she experienced a terrifying 2 years as she was trapped in my own body. She could barely whisper during this time. What happened to the Hallmark star? Here is her story. Kimberly Williams-Paisley underwent 2 terrifying years unable to speak. Kimberly Williams-Paisley fans may wonder why they have not seen her in 2 years. That is because she went through a terrifying ordeal. The father of the bride star revealed to people that she could not speak for 2 years. During this time, she did not act. Moreover, the actress, who has been married to country legend Brad Paisley for over 2 decades, felt invisible as she navigated this serious situation. She avoided family and friends as she could do no more than whisper during this time. It all started at the annual fundraiser for Alzheimer's, the dance party to end ALZ. She co-hosts with her sister, Ashley Williams. They created this annual event to honor their mother, along with fellow Hallmark stars Nikki Deloach and Andrew Walker. While on stage, she revealed, "I put the mic to my mouth and nothing came out." Understandably, she shared, "It was terrifying." 2 months later, at her Netflix premiere for Doggone, she was unable to speak over the noise. Suddenly, this physical pain also became a metaphysical issue. She didn't feel heard. Although Kimberly Williams-Paisley felt invisible through this ordeal, her husband Brad Paisley and their 2 teenage sons, Huck, 17, and Jasper, 15, were there to support her. But this was a long journey. Her energy was low, and she was tired. Although she doesn't believe she had clinical depression, she admits, "I was sad. Figuring out what was wrong was key." After going to Vanderbilt Voice Center in Nashville, her doctors found a cause. The doctors there made an unexpected discovery. Her neck muscles were tight. Therefore, the doctors could not see her vocal cords. These experts, who treated everyone from Johnny Cash to Winona Judd, could not easily determine what was wrong. Kimberly revealed, "The muscles in my neck were tensing up to help my vocal cords hit each other." The final verdict was that she had a partial paralysis of her left vocal cord. This is called muscle tension dysphonia. Next, the Nashville country Christmas star had to do a cornucopia of treatments to get my body to unlock. This was everything from antidepressants to hypnosis. Brad was there to encourage her to do her exercises and other treatment suggestions. He was there to support her and to lift her spirits. She shared, "He's so good at keeping me laughing." As for her sons, they would help her in any way. They were great cheerleaders for me. To see them embracing me made me feel less alone. However, she didn't think she could ever talk again. Moreover, she thought her acting career was over. During this time, she started writing screenplays. But in August, she had successful medialization laryngoplasty. Basically, they moved the damaged right cord towards her left. This was a 3-hour procedure that was deemed a success. After all of this, she appreciates her voice and doesn't let anything go unsaid. For most of her life, Paisley Wright's voice was her signature. Whether it was the clear, bell-like tones of her poetry readings or the soft lilt that narrated her popular podcasts, listeners had always remarked that her voice carried both the weight of wisdom and the comfort of familiarity. It came as a shock, then, when Paisley disappeared from the public eye for nearly 2 years, and even more so when she revealed, for the first time, that she had not been able to speak at all during that time. "I didn't just lose my voice," she said quietly, her eyes reflecting both vulnerability and resilience. "I lost a part of my identity. It started, as many things do, with something small." In late 2022, Paisley caught what she thought was a routine cold. A sore throat lingered longer than usual, eventually devolving into hoarseness and persistent pain. Doctors initially diagnosed it as laryngitis and prescribed rest. But rest turned into weeks, weeks into months. Her voice didn't return. And as the months stretched on, the silence grew heavier. What followed was a bewildering series of appointments, scans, and second opinions. Specialists ruled out the obvious culprits: nodules, polyps, even nerve damage. Instead, Paisley was diagnosed with a rare neurological disorder called functional voice disorder, a condition where the muscles that generate voice don't coordinate properly, despite no structural damage. In short, her body had forgotten how to speak. "For the first time in my life," she said, "I could think the words, feel them form in my mind, But when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. At first, she tried to mask the absence. She communicated through writing, gestures, even learned basic sign language. But for someone whose entire career had revolved around spoken word, the frustration was monumental. Invitations to speak at literary festivals quietly expired. Podcast projects were shelved. Brands and publishers, unsure of how to accommodate her new limitations, drifted away. I felt like I was slowly disappearing, Paisley admitted. The world is loud, and if you can't make noise, you become invisible. The emotional toll was as deep as the physical one. For months, Paisley isolated herself. Even among close friends, the strain of constant alternative communication weighed on her spirit. I withdrew because I didn't want to be a burden, she explained. And truthfully, I didn't want to face a world that couldn't hear me. But what ultimately brought Paisley back wasn't medicine. It was art. In the silence, she began to paint. What started as a casual attempt to pass time soon became a channel for all the unsaid things bottled inside her. Bright acrylics exploded on canvas. Muted pastels whispered along paper. Her first exhibit, titled The Sound of Silence, opened quietly in a small gallery in Brighton, with no speeches or readings, just a note pinned to the entrance explaining her condition. Critics and visitors were struck by the raw emotionality of her work. "It's funny," she said with a soft laugh. "I thought I'd lost all ways to communicate. But it turns out, I just had to find a different language." Meanwhile, behind the scenes, she began an intensive course of voice therapy. Slowly, arduously, she retrained her vocal cords, relearning how to breathe, how to coordinate her muscles, how to coax even a whisper from her throat. Progress was slow. There were setbacks. But after nearly 24 months of silence, she spoke her first full sentence. She called her mother. "I think we both cried for an hour," she said, her eyes misting. "I forgot how much meaning can be carried in just a single hello." Her return to public life has been cautious but deliberate. When Paisley recently posted a short video on her social media, simply saying, "I'm back," the response was overwhelming. Fans flooded her comments with love, relief, and admiration. What surprised her most, however, was how many others reached out to share their own stories of voicelessness, from stutters and speech disorders to social anxiety and trauma. "It made me realize that losing your voice isn't always literal," she reflected. "So many people know what it feels like to not be heard." Today, Paisley is blending both worlds. She continues to paint, now incorporating spoken word audio installations alongside her visual art. Her new podcast, Whispers and Echoes, launched last month, a quieter, more reflective version of her earlier work, where she invites guests to talk about resilience, identity, and finding new ways to communicate. "If there's one thing I learned," Paisley concluded, "it's that silence doesn't mean absence. Sometimes it's just a pause. And when you come back, your voice carries even more meaning than before." Would you like this polished further for a magazine-style piece or a more casual online article? "There's one thing I learned," Paisley concluded. "It's that silence doesn't mean absence. Sometimes it's just a pause. And when you come back, your voice carries even more meaning than before." Would you like this polished further for